I have the honor of having David Weiss with me today. I know we were off to a rough start with technical difficulties, but that's because the Matrix doesn't want to hear what we have to say. And so David, I recently saw you on Open Your Reality with Chad, and I thought it was like one of the best interviews. And we're going to do things like a little bit different today. We're not going to just simply talk about, flat Earth. I think you've done that ad nauseum. We're also going to talk about its relation to simulation theory and stuff like divine and common law. Give us a quick rundown of like what divine law, common law is, and statuate law.
Okay, we're gonna jump right in there. Give me one second. So on Chad's, I was talking about the question, why the lie? Why would they lie? People love that question, and to me, once you're this far in the rabbit hole, the why the lie question is the most important one, but it's also, in my opinion, the most obvious. And the reason is if they can convince you that you live, that you're not divine in a divine world, then they could take advantage of you. They can take away your God-given rights. So as I'm talking, I'm trying to pull up my graphic. So there's God's law, which is divine law. All right, that's the law of God. Nobody can take that away from you. You're born with your God-given rights. They're very simple. Don't hurt anybody. And what is the other one? Don't and love everyone else. Basically, that's it. Common law, the law of the land, and then there's statute law, which is admiral maritime law, and that's the law of the sea, a man's law, the law of the court system. So if they can convince you that that's the law that rules over you, just put it in your mind, you believe the lie, then you have given away your rights. No one took them from you. You just gave them away. No, governments don't give you rights. You have rights. You can believe that they give them to you, right?
Yeah.
Because now you've lowered yourself down. So that's basic. It's very simple.
Well, what's important to note here is the fact that, we're born on this earth with divine law and common law. And then statuate law is introduced by an outside authority as a suggestion. It's almost like they're giving you a new chessboard and like tricking us into thinking that we have to play on that chessboard. When in reality, we can throw that chessboard out and put down a new one and have control over this simulacrum or situation, this simulation that we live in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, that's how I feel like we can Aikido this, because we've been playing on their chessboard for a very long time, but we can set down our own chessboard. And let me give you like an example of this with like techniques when it comes to debating materialists, heliocentric people with the idea of flat Earth. Instead of like coming at it like, well, here's all the materialistic knowledge, which you're accurate about and you're right on point, I think you need to set down a different framework first and say, we actually live on a simulation. And that argument will work because you can point to their appeal to authority and say, Neil deGrasse Tyson believes this. Bill Nye the Science Guy believes this. The quantum physicists believe this. The priests in the white lab coat have given an okay to simulation theory. And inside simulation theory, you can then begin to start talking about flat Earth because it's a smaller pill for the normie to swallow instead of starting right off the bat with just materialist flat Earth, because they already own and trademark that chessboard of materialism. They're priests in the white lab coats. So we need to kind of change the game on them and then argue from that standpoint. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. So it's a much flat Earth, which is a big pill. It's easier to swallow than simulation theory, right? But when people say, we live in a simulation, I kind of agree. I believe, and the way I describe it is we live in a physical simulation. If you were standing right next to me and I punched you in the jaw, that's going to hurt because it's physical. We're hitting each other and we're living whatever this realm is. I believe this realm, we live in this dielectric magnetic plane inside a toroidal field. Okay. That to me sounds like a video screen, of some sort, right? It's a topographical plane. But it's here, we're experiencing this physical level horizontal plane. We're experiencing all of the wonders in it. And if it's not a simulation, there's no explanation of how the hell it works. Okay. So it's just, we're in this thing having this experience. So I don't like to just say it's a simulation and there's nothing I can do about it and nothing matters, because everything matters. It all matters, right? When you're playing a video game, it matters what you do. It matters if you just sit there and get shot. well, that's boring. That's a waste of your 25 cents. It used to be 25 cents. Look at me dating myself. I don't hear you. Are you muted or did something go wrong?
Can you hear me now?
Now I can.
Okay. So what I was saying was it does matter how we view the Earth, because I think it's quite possible that the matrix contorts itself to the perspective of the viewer observing it. Like with the double slit theory experiment, where like observing the phenomenon actually affects the environment that we live in. So why not believe in like this whimsical, almost like C.S. Lewis-esque idea of like a flat stationary plane instead of the nightmare horror of spinning through space at 66,000 miles per hour or whatever it is into a nightmare void of nothingness? It's like there's such a huge difference between the two.
I think I agree if I understood what you just said. I mean,
like well, I'm trying to talk to people who are like on the fence about like flat Earth, who thinks it's like silly. And another example I could bring up is like Andrew Tate, when he's like, I'm not going to believe in depression, even if it is real, because I don't believe in anything that weakens me. The heliocentric model weakens us.
absolutely. I mean, think about this. You know, in the heliocentric world, we live on a lumpy rock surrounded by water that just turns out to be spherical, surrounded by spherical air adjacent to a void. Okay, that's crazy and impossible. But that's spinning and orbiting and corkscrewing through space, right? Mm-hmm. And the speed that we're traveling is this rocky water ball in a curved trajectory, speeding up and slowing down is 18 miles a second. 18 miles a second. Nobody can even fathom a mile a second. Okay, 18 miles a second. This whole lumpy water ball spinning through a scientifically impossible, void, vacuum. That don't tell me that doesn't weaken you. And the other thing is depression. I completely believe that 99% of depression is because your soul, your true self, knows the truth of this world and it's been trying to tell you, but your mind is so lost in the news, all right, that it's not hearing you, and you get depressed, right? Because you're fighting it. You're fighting it because and then what happens when you get depressed? Or slightly depressed or issues, people get addicted to drugs and do all sorts of crazy stuff. There's so many people in the flat Earth community that have cured themselves from addictions, from depression. People have been on psychotropics their whole life. They find out about flat Earth. They come off of all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
When you're obsessed with this research, as you said, you're never bored. There's never a dull moment. Never. You've said before, you've never been this busy, but had so much free time in your entire life. Is that correct?
Yeah. That only worked in a freaking simulation, right?
Right. Yeah. Time makes no sense there. And it's like, not only that, but isn't it so funny how like desperately people will try to like glob on and defend this heliocentric model? Like their very life is at risk. That's what kind of made me awaken, was just the way that other people were acting around me. That's what awakened me.
Brett, we have a bunch of guys that do this. They go around on boardwalks and beaches, and they just random people. They're like, "Hey, we've got $200 here if you can answer 3 questions about the globe, about the Earth," right? And the first one is, how many times does the Earth spin in a day? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you answer these. You should get 3 of these.
Spins once in a day.
Okay, very good. And then how far away is the sun?
93 million miles, I meant to say.
93 million miles away. And then the other one is how fast is it orbiting? And you already said it's 66,600 miles an hour. Yeah. So you would win. Half the people get the first question wrong because they're just like, their brains don't think, they only know how to regurgitate and they don't remember. And then everyone gets the second or third one wrong. No one in years has won the $200. So, and these are the people that will fight to defend the ball. I mean, hats off to the controllers. They did an amazing job brainwashing people.
And what's funny too is I'll point out little things like, how come this photograph in 1969 shows a gray dust, but when I look up at the moon at night, it's like this luminosity that would blind us if we were actually on the surface of the moon. And I just point that out. And instead of just being like, well, I just believe in science and I'm not going to think about it, I'd accept that answer. But that's not how they respond. They call you a retard and an idiot just for pointing out something you see. Like, how dare you point out the discrepancy between a 1969 photograph and the luminescent body you see at night with your own eyeballs? Like they get pissed and they get smug.
Absolutely. And
it's a totally reasonable question.
Right. And with the pictures of Artemis shows this this is the detail Artemis gets from a couple hundred miles away from the moon, right? This is 1969 Apollo. They did a lot better job, but my naked eye here from 250,000 miles away, I could see far more detail than this. Well, what did they bring up with them? iPhone 1s? What did they bring up?
Well, so what they'll bring up is like, I'll go even further into it and be like, there's scientific evidence that the moon emits its own light, because if you look at an infrared detector, it shows that moonlight is actually colder than the shade at night. Not only that, but dead bodies decompose faster in moonlight and they compose slower in sunlight. So there's two pieces of scientific evidence. You know what the response was today from a guy? He said, well, where's your scientific evidence? And I said, I literally just gave you two pieces of verifiable evidence you can look up. What are you talking about?
Well, he's saying, where's the proof of that? And I want to point out something about the cold moonlight. It absolutely is true, and it can be provable. But 99 out of 100 people that did the test, they did it wrong, where they could be getting false readings. When you get a false reading, doesn't mean that it's not true. It means that you did the experiment wrong. People put a piece of cardboard over the ground, and then they'll measure the ground, and then underneath, well, you're holding heat in underneath that cardboard. Put a piece of cardboard over yourself at night, you'll be warmer. Okay, moonlight or no moonlight, it's because it's radiate. It's keeping heat. But when done correctly, there's sometimes I've seen over 10 degrees difference, and then the globies come back and they're like, there's no such thing as cold light. That's impossible. And then Cody's Action Lab, not a Flat Earth channel, they come out and they show us the Flat Earth laser like the next week. Okay, not the flat earth laser, the cold laser, cold laser, where you can freeze things with a laser. Okay, right? Don't you guys watch Marvel?
Right, they love their Marvel. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that reminds me of another thing I wanted to bring up. So a lot of people who defend this model, the first thing they bring up to me is some experiment that everyone knows about, like, flat earthers accidentally prove that the Earth is round. We've all seen the video; it's very popular, and they point to that as the first argument they have. And how can you debunk that?
Yeah, they're so desperate. They're so desperate for proof of the globe that they have to look to flat earthers to prove it. Okay,
right.
The all the stuff. Like we'll do stuff with lasers across lakes, and we measure the water temperature, the air temperature, the humidity, everything at different levels. And they're like, "Well, you forgot the ambient wind, or whatever." Right? And they're like, that doesn't work. But then in a hit piece movie, they take something out of context. And they say, "Oh, you proved it. You proved curvature. You proved axial rotation." And the thing is, then they will never take the time to go hear the other side of the story. Globebusters every Sunday on YouTube. They've gone over it 1,000 times. Jeranism channel. He's the one that did the laser test, explaining how there was globe believers there and flat Earth believers there and neutral observers there, and everyone walked away saying this didn't prove anything other than it might have proved that the Earth is flat, because we could see there was so many issues. There was branches in the way. The laser melted, so we couldn't shoot the laser through. We have a condenser because lasers spread out, unfortunately. And we left it on too long, and it melted. But the time, just for those of you aware of it, Jaron said, "Hey, hold the light up," and he held the light up, and he could see it. He'd have to hold that light up 27 feet if the Earth was curved to see it. But he only held it up, 2 feet over his head? I don't think he's 25 feet tall. So again, flat earthers could have claimed victory there, but we didn't. We're like, you know what? Too many variables. Everyone walked away. If they had proved that the Earth was curved, there would have been so much after footage, but there was nothing. Edit, cut, right? And the same thing, since we haven't brought it up, the ring laser gyro experiment measured some movement about 15 degrees per hour. And Bob goes, we better not let the Globers know this. Cut, because they'll go wild. Cut. He goes, because we don't know what's rotating, right? Mm-hmm. So is it the ether that's rotating, or is it the Earth that's rotating? So they did another experiment that proves unequivocally that it's the Earth, that is the ether that's rotating. The Earth is not rotating. Okay. But that was left out of the movie, right?
Yeah.
That's because these people that made this movie do hit pieces. They do hit pieces on other things too. I don't want to mention the name because YouTube doesn't like it, but let's just say it's a beachy place where kids go to school.
Yeah, I think I know what you. Yeah, and for anyone listening right now who's sort of on the fence, because I know a few of my viewers are, it doesn't matter if someone believes in flat earth or simulation theory in a certain context. What matters is they get off of the dungeon programming. They get off of the mainstream frequency, which is, I'd say, objectively demonic. Like flat earthers, simulation theorists, we're all on the same side. We're
We're on the
people that
same side. And yeah.
yeah.
The other thing is, for the people that get triggered, all right, show me I'm wrong. Show me one proof. I have this app. It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. I hope you have it.
Yes.
But every day there's a featured video right here. You click that thumbnail up, it comes up. I say just watch the video every day for 2 weeks. At the end of that 2 weeks, if you have one proof we live on a globe, send it to me, and I will pay you 3 Bitcoins or the equal value in physical silver. Okay? That's like 60 grand. That's like 60 grand. So this has been up for several years, and I still haven't given it away. And not because I'm just going, oh no, people are like, oh, you'll just say it's wrong. No, I'll show you how it's wrong. I'll show you how it's wrong. Happily. So, and then just last thing, all of us have the same story. We thought flat earth was stupid. We made fun of flat earthers because we thought the flat earth was, a disc floating in space, right? Just like they want us to believe, right? That we thought flat earth was this. Okay. This is stupid. Flat planet, round planets or a flat disc. This is what they want you to believe. This is one of the program responses. Well, what are we, the only flat planet? Are the other pancake planets out there? And these are pre-programmed responses, and we all have them. So nobody just becomes a flat earther. You have to actually take the time and look into it. And then when you dive in deep and you realize, okay, all of this is a lie, then you're like, what is this place? Where is this place? And that's where simulation evidence shows itself.
Yeah, one thing that I kind of like to do is look at these mainstream YouTube channels that try to pick apart the flat earth idea. And it's so easy to see where they're wrong if you actually know the correct model. Like I was watching this one guy yesterday, Dave McKeegan. Have you heard of him?
I know the name. I'm not sure who he is.
Yeah, so his whole channel is about like trying to debunk flat earth. And what he'll do is ridiculous. He'll be like, I'll talk to flat earthers and none of them seem to agree on what the model is. And then he'll go on to say, oh, well, according to the flat earth model, they say this and that. And it's like, what do you mean? You just said that they don't agree on a certain model. So now you're creating a straw man model and then picking apart this random theory that you created at the top of your head. It's literal insanity.
Here's the thing is we don't know a lot of things. There's a lot of things we don't know. And I used the example yesterday, and Chad was on Chad's show, Observing Reality, or what's it called?
Yeah, Open Your Reality.
Open Your Reality. And I said, if you paid me give me $100 and opened up the hood of a car and told me to find the catalytic converter, I couldn't find it. Okay. And I found out the catalytic converter is not even in the trunk. It's down near the muffler, I think. Yeah. Okay. So I had no idea. But my point is my car still works and it has a catalytic converter in it. I think it does. So just because we don't know something, but we have a lot of evidence showing a lot of things. And yeah, some people think it's an extended plane. Personally, I do. And there's more land. Some people think, well, the Bible doesn't mention any more land, so maybe it's just this pond. Cool. Great. Let's figure it out. I always say, I want more. I want access to go explore and figure out these answers. The one thing that flat earthers do agree on, it's not a ball floating through an infinitely large, scientifically impossible space void vacuum. Okay. And I have to say void and vacuum because if you say vacuum, the Globers will go, oh, you think that it's a vacuum and that it's sucking. It doesn't suck. No, it's a void. It's no pressure. Okay. Get a room with no pressure and a room with pressure and then open the door and tell me what happens. It'll suck all the air. Okay.
And whether you love or hate flat earthers, there's one pattern between them that you really can't ignore. I've noticed so many of them were people that started off in the corporate world, then they started their own business because they cultivated a skill, and then people pay them mad money to do that skill because they're people who actually believe in themselves. Like that's a pattern I see with all these people who step away from dungeon programming. I know that that's your story. That's also my story too, and so many others.
And let me tell you something. If I had tried to predict how my life would be, how I got here, there's no way. You can get to your destination, but the path is not your decision, right? You can like make a plan, you'll get there, but it didn't happen on the path that you thought, right? And I say the universe, the creator, God, whatever name you want to put on it, your godly spirit, whatever, will get you there if you allow it. You're your own. The only enemy you have is you. Is your own. You're your own worst enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's like I just that in one thing that people who are globe believers will say is like, well, why do you want to teach people flat Earth? It's very dangerous. You're creating a dangerous lie when
that's program.
yeah, it's complete opposite. Like the
Yeah.
heliocentric model, like I said, is a nightmare. It's like the movie Event Horizon, where they're in space and it turns into hell. Like that's what their idea is.
Yeah, and the whole idea, once you understand that you're not on a globe, you take your power back. And that's what this is all about, taking your power away, taking away your ability to thrive. Your thoughts create your reality. I believe that all of our thoughts are connected, all in the quantum world, simulation world, whatever you want to call it. Everything is connected. I heard today, it was some scientists, oh no, it was Tesla, quote, I didn't know this about Tesla, maybe I did, that he said through vibrations of the earth, he could connect to Mars. I'm like, okay, well, there is no Mars planet, but there could be a Mars, which here on flat Earth. You know what I mean by that? You've seen the many ponds map.
Yeah, I do know. Oh, the many ponds map. Oh, so you're saying that maybe Mars is one of those ponds?
Yeah, maybe Mars is a pond next to us. So maybe we live here, and I can't. One of these actually does say Mars, and Liberians.
But Mars is still a luminary that you can point to in the sky. Correct?
It is. Well, yes, but if we live in a dome and there was a light off in the distance, it would appear as a star on our dome. Go out on a sunny day when you're on a highway in a parking lot or whatever, and look at everyone's car window. You'll see a star, the sun, in every car, and that's the way we see the sun. We don't see the sun in the same place. Like you, where are you located? What state?
Ohio.
You're in Ohio. I'm in Connecticut. We're relatively close and relatively far. But when we look up at the moon at the same time, we're seeing it in a completely different place. The sun, a completely different place. But we're looking at the same thing, but two different things, right? So maybe this is Mars. Maybe he's connected. All of this is connected. And I believe it's all connected through the ground. I actually went to the movies for the first time since 2019. I went and saw Avatar yesterday to decode it.
Oh, how was it?
It's overdone, too long, but the chairs were really comfortable in the Dolby Theater. It was worth it just for hanging out in that chair with the footrest. It was really nice. So how they talk about connecting, and if you listen to who's the mushroom guy, Paul Stamets.
Paul Stamets, yeah.
Yeah. He talks about the real internet is the mycelium underneath our feet, and that everything gets communicated. And in a forest, you have a mother tree, just like they're telling us in Avatar and stuff. I think all of this is connected, right? All of it's connected. And that's what the elite don't want us to know. So if you limit your thoughts to, being on a globe, you've just cut off 99.999% of your ability to think, right? Your ability to manifest. So now you live in this prison. There's nothing left to discover, Truman, right? I want to be an explorer. Well, there's nothing left to discover. And so now you do that. So now you're like, okay, well, I'm on this limited ball. We're running out of water, we're running out of food, we're running out of land, we're overpopulated, global warming, volcanoes, asteroids, war. All of this is a construct by the people that know the system, people that have hack the system, or maybe they're part of the simulation. Who knows, right? We're in this training ground. And if you live in that fear, you give up, again, your divine and common law. You give up your rights, and then your thoughts are limited. And so now you've severely cut off your ability to thrive, right?
Right. And
if my thoughts could only extend to the edge of this room, well, that's pretty bad. What if I lived in a building that didn't have any windows and they said, well, this is all there is, right? Yeah. And I didn't know there was an outside.
So much of this realm is like a copy of like God's world, like the mycelium, and then our copy is the internet. And or like the idea of like the singularity where they merge with machines, but there's God's singularity where you connect back with God. And it's like all these people are choosing to live in like, I guess, like this old earth and not joining like a new earth. And I think that we're going to see a separation occur, because I really feel like we're in a spiritual war right now. Do you agree?
Where this is totally a spiritual war, and the way they get away with it is they convince you there's no such thing as a spiritual war.
Yeah.
They convince us to live in this material world and that there's no such thing as, they don't want you to believe, all the way up to God. They don't want you to believe in God, because if you do, if you understand that the world is more than just the little bandwidth that we can see, then you are completely and totally, I can't even say it, completely and totally controlled.
Yeah.
Totally.
And have you ever heard of like the word simulacrum?
I have heard it, but I forget what it means. Fill me in.
It's the old word for simulation, and the direct definition just means a copy. Like, I believe that we live in a copy of like a more real realm.
Interesting.
Is that something you've thought of?
No, haven't thought of it.
Yeah. No, it goes back to like an old Gnostic idea. And like further evidence that we live in a simulation is something called isometric analysis, where certain people are able to track palindromic events that keep cycling again and again. Like, for example, the Spanish flu and our most recent pandemic have a 100-year separation. 100 years before that, there was another special pandemic. 100 years before that, there was another pandemic. There's so many things, if you look at history, occur in cycles here.
It's all the same thing. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything they do it's already been done before. And all you have to do is go back and look. Everything repeats, like eclipses. They repeat. Mass shooting events, the same story again and again and again and again, right? All of these things are just, there's nothing new under the sun. So you look at it like, you can sometimes guess what they're going to do next. Real quick, before we get too far off of, possibly these other worlds, which are scientifically possible, even in a simulation or a real flat Earth, whatever you want to call it, versus the impossible outer space. How many oceans are there on the Earth?
What is it, like 4? I don't know.
Hold on a second.
I should know that though.
I blew my perfect transition. Here we go. So we got 4. We got 4 oceans. How many 4? There's 4 oceans, right? Bam. Here we go. Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Arctic, right? What about the Southern Ocean? Right? Go look it up now. There's a Southern Ocean, right? Everything past 60 degrees south. That means even on a globe, the Southern Ocean is probably bigger than all of the other oceans combined. Okay? But on a flat Earth, it's massive. No one is allowed to explore the Southern Ocean. Isn't that a problem?
Yeah, I think you said there's like military bases all across the edge of the Earth defending Antarctica.
Absolutely. If you go in the app, you go to the images and go to scroll down just a little bit. And there's 8 military bases.
And it costs millions of dollars to do a tour of Antarctica to sign up for it. And a lot of times they take your money and tell you, no, you can't do it.
Well, if you do a tour, you can do a tour. That'll cost
do a tour like along the Falkland Islands or the Ross Ice Shelf.
Right. And they take you to the little peninsula. They show you some ice. And that little peninsula, by the way, is bigger than the United States. It's huge, but it's nothing compared to Antarctica. So these are all the military bases. One of them is the Falkland Islands. I think it's this one right there. Why are we fighting over this island in the South Pacific that nobody cares about, right? So those are the islands that protect the world. Now, these are great distances in between, but they got radar, they got buoy systems and everything. And if anyone crosses over, you will be stopped. You will be arrested. Your boat will be taken away. Your license will be taken away. You'll probably be put in jail. Okay.
Well, you told me one story of a lawyer that tried to go to Antarctica and they were turned away, right? And they tried to do all the proper paperwork.
I forget the guy's name, but he got permission from his country. And he went, and then he was stopped and turned around and put in jail when he got home. Okay. Even though he had permission. Okay. So people are like, you can go to Antarctica. Here's the other thing. If they go, you know what? Yeah, average Joe, Dave, Dave, you want to go with Brett? They'll look at our supplies and go, yeah, they're never going to make it. You're going to get there. There's no place to get fuel. There's no place to get food. There's no place to do it. There's nothing. We're probably going to die. All right. If we go, depends on where we go. I don't know, maybe a couple 100 miles or a couple 1,000 miles. We can find more land, warmer lands, right? On Admiral Byrd's expeditions, one of the ones that came in from the west, if you understand what west is, they said they found warmer lands. Well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. It could make sense on a flat Earth, right? Mm-hmm. So where was I? I was just going to show you something. Antarctica.
Yeah, while you're pulling that up, I mean, I saw this one guy in a YouTube comment section who was a Glober, and he's like, I'm a pilot, you see, and I've offered these flat earthers on these Facebook groups for me to take them to Antarctica, and they all refused.
Yeah, so
yeah, because they don't accept some like schizo offer from an anonymous person online that destroys their credibility.
so actually, the guy's name was Kelsey, and he's a complete and total shill. Now, when I say shill, he may not even know he's a shill. He may just be so brainwashed and lost in the matrix that he's an NPC. Okay. But he said his offer was, I'll fly the plane. I'll book the plane. I'll get you my airline company. And so, you know what? We took him up on it. We contacted him. We're like, hey, we're going to do it. Give me a quote on how much it costs. He goes, well, you have to, he tried to back out. He goes, well, you have to get a quote yourself. I'm like, well, okay, we'll get the quote ourselves. What's the name of your company? Well, I don't want to tell you the name of my company. Okay. Totally backed out. And just for people that I'm just telling you a story. If you go in here, go into the app, hit the web button, which is more resources, go down to, I think it's, oh no, you know what? No, on the frequently asked questions page, go to Antarctica or Southern Flights. Where's the Southern Flights? Southern Flights on the bottom left there. And if you scroll down, let's see Casey's ugly mug. There he is, right there. Casey, this guy. We broke it down for you. We show you all the information, and we show you how all of these guys they're full of it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I was going to say before. I was going to say, you ask a Glober, well, how come I could see Mount Canigou, which the top of the mountain should be a half a mile below the curve? And look like, well, temperature and refraction, and when the sun and the light here, and it refracts up to, eye level, and the water, in between refracts up less because it's over less, temperature. They'll just make up all of these things. And you talk about everything. They have complicated answers. You go to a flat earther and you go, why is that? And we go, because the earth is flat. That's it. Everything. It's just because the earth is flat.
Yeah, okay? And it's like, if I really strain myself, I know the globe theory. I know it. I've been taught it since I was a kid. But like the flat earth theory is so much more logical. Like it's just like, oh, I intuitively understand what you're saying.
Well, that doesn't make it true, but it is true. The globe model, the people that defend it are either lying, so indoctrinated that they can't see, but then none of them actually look and think about the evidence. I mean, one thing that you can prove is wrong, everything else unwinds. When I was talking about yesterday, Polaris is 433 light years away. We can see it with our naked eye. It's a pretty bright star. Okay. Can't miss it here in the north. And if it was a light week away, you couldn't see it. And we can prove that, but nobody wants to look at that. They're like, well, these numbers are too big and I can't deal. I can't think about big numbers. What did you think about my thought about this map? Did you watch it when I talked about it and the ships to the
end? So. Yeah.
So let's pretend it gets pretty frozen out here past this outer line, and let's say half of this island is we can get to the shoreline in the summer. So we go here and they take you here and they say, oh, you're at Antarctica. How would you know this isn't Antarctica? Maybe it is. Maybe that's what we call Antarctica. How would you know? How would you know that the island ends right here? It's because it's not an island. Look at the United States, Canada, and Mexico. This is bigger, okay, than all three of them combined, okay? So we pull up here. You're on Antarctica, right? And let's say you can't sail around it because it's backside's frozen. Well, how would you know? How would you know where you are? So we, and for those of you who haven't seen this, this is a shipping, world shipping cargo, and you click on any one of these ships, find out where they're going, what they're doing, where it's registered, size of the ship, cargo, everything. We noticed some ships that were hundreds of miles inside of the shoreline of Antarctica. This is supposed to be either frozen or land, with, frozen, ice, with tons of ice. There's ships in here, right? So we clicked on the ship.
Must be wrong. Of Antarctica, the maps of Antarctica must be wrong.
Maybe it's something like this. Okay, so you got we look up the ship and there's no information other than it's 560 meters long. Do you know how big that is? That is the biggest MFR ship I've ever seen. It's 1,800 feet. That's a giant ship, 80 meters wide. Okay, and we find out that it's registered in a little island called Kiribati. Okay, right? Kiribati's out here in the South Pacific, right? Let's look at what Kiribati is. here's Kiribati, South Pacific. We zoom in, and it's a little sand atoll. Okay. This is a sandbar, right? So, and then the Chinese government, American government, we're all involved with this little island. Why do we care about this little island? What are they growing pineapples? Okay. And this is a very important trade route, everything like why? Why is this an important trade route? This little friggin' island, this sandbar. And China gave them $10 billion recently. Okay. What if they're doing, shipping routes outside our world? If there was trafficking of technology, of goods and services, of children, whatever you want to think of, how would you ever know? Because guess what? When did you hear about Kiribati?
Never. And I understand how the Suez Canal is
1 minute ago. A minute ago. So
the Suez Canal obviously is an important trade route. There's all those humans congregated in that area. This area is so far removed from civilization that there's no logical reasoning that it would be an important trade route. So why are there trade ships there?
The Suez Canal? Because
no, not the Suez Canal. This little island out here. I'm saying.
Yeah.
Saying, like, an important trade route. An example would be the Suez Canal.
Okay. Yeah.
Dude, sometimes you do have to like break things down for people who aren't used to this information because it's so outside their scope. Like you really do have to dissect things. And like one thing, you're so good, you're so knowledgeable, but you need to like talk to people like they're a 5-year-old sometimes. And I feel
I try to. Go ahead. What else were you saying?
That's about it. Because this is quite a mystery, and I love mysteries, and I want to try to research more. Do you have any more information on this?
On this thing right here?
Yeah.
Look up Kiribati. Go through the comments on my video about it, and there's a lot of people like, hey, they found the actual pier where you can dock this ship. That's good information. Why do you have a pier on the sandbar that can dock a fucking aircraft carrier, right?
Yeah.
And just think about it. This could be it could be anything. It could be it's so. Let that open your mind is what I'm trying to say. Let that open your mind and take a look. Right?
Yeah. And like I said, we are in like a spiritual war right now. And someone said in my comments recently, they're like, it seems like evil always wins here, that this simulacrum, it rewards evil. But like, no, it doesn't reward evil. That's absurd. It rewards people who act intelligently and adaptively. And only the evil forces here have been doing that. The forces of good have not been doing that. And that's why we see so much evil. And it almost makes me think like maybe we should adopt some of the techniques of like the historically nefarious sources, like social engineering, Edward Bernays. Like, why can't we be an Edward Bernays for the force of good and social engineer people in the right direction? You know Edward Bernays?
Yeah, absolutely. He's the father of propaganda.
Exactly.
So think about this. We live here in this pond. Antarctica, is the edge of our allowed to explore area. We're not allowed to go beyond this purple line, right? Okay. So what if I cut out right outside here? Okay. Let's say this is, 1,000, 1,500 miles away from our shoreline. I cut that out. Okay. And I wrapped it in Photoshop around a sphere. Okay. So I wrap it around. So I take all of everything that's outside of that. I wrap it around and say it all comes to a point right there. Did I just limit your ability to even dream? Oh, dreaming is pretty important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know about the book, The Iron Republic?
Yes.
Yeah. So those people in the 1600s were tired of tyranny. Could you imagine there being tyranny? And they left. They went to the outer lands, right? Maybe the elite are so afraid of global warming because it opens up pathways to the outer lands, right? So what if we live here and there's our sun, our pond, here's the shoreline of Antarctica, and there's other ponds really close, right? But then, when things get warmer and certain times when maybe both suns are synchronized and they come close, it opens up these gates. And now you have these trade routes. Maybe they're open all the time. I don't know if any of this is true. It's fun to think
but
about.
look at how we can open our imagination and think of it because of this model.
Well,
there's so much more interesting things we could talk about.
If we live on this realm, this dielectric plane, and it's simulation or not, whatever it is, it's here, it's physical. I go cut down a tree and it could fall on my house and there's going to be some physical damage. Okay. It's an interesting world we live in. So we can live in this flat world enclosed because it makes sense. It holds in our atmosphere, but you can't live on a ball in a void. Oh, gravity holds down the air. Gravity. Everyone screams gravity. Gravity holding down air. Okay. I mean, you can just laugh at that. And there's experiments that you can do to prove that it's not true. We say get a bunch of glass boxes that have trapdoors on the top and bottom, electronic trapdoors. And we put one on the ground and it's just regular room pressure. And we seal another one to the top of it, 90%, 80%, 70%, all the way up. So the 10th one up has zero pressure, a void. And then I push a button and all the crap doors open and it connects all the boxes. What's going to happen? All the air is going to go up and it's going to equalize. It's going to equalize, period. Boom. It just proved that gravity doesn't hold air down.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying, everything you say really just makes so much logical sense. And I think the reason people don't want to listen to it is not because they're stupid. Like, I didn't mean to say like, oh, you got to talk to them like they're 5. It's not because they're stupid. It's because people want to walk around with a very limited aperture. And like James True, I've heard him say this. And in their little aperture, they just want to believe in the globe model because it's just so much easier to operate and live like that. And it's almost like flat earthers, we're trying to rip that aperture open, like, no, like it's bigger than this. And then because we choose, like, I want to see everything. I'm open to all of it. I want to see it. And it's like they don't operate in that paradigm.
You know what? The thing is, the school system, along with everything else they do, dumbing us down, poisoning us, teaches you to memorize and regurgitate, teaches you to hate learning. Okay. And the school has, if you want to become a surgeon, yes, you need to learn how to cut through veins and all sorts of stuff. Right. But if you're not interested in that stuff, you can learn whatever you want today with today's technology. You can learn anything you want on YouTube. Just go and figure it out. And then, volunteer to work for a company. They'll take you on for a year. Right. Then they're going to hire you. And now you don't have, $100,000 in college debt if you're lucky. Okay. And it's crazy. College, I don't know if you heard me say this before, is the biggest scam on earth. Our fantastic flat earther, Austin Whitsitt, and Kai just had a baby. Austin is like, he knows the science better than anybody, right? He goes up against these globe, math whizzes, just shutting them down. And I was like, when I had my first baby, like the overwhelming fear was, how am I going to save for college? Okay. Well, you don't have to worry about that if you're flat earther because there's no chance you're sending your kid to college. Okay. And I say, you want to learn about this world. Are you familiar with Crow 777 Radio?
Yes, I am.
So Crow has literally the greatest podcast, most research podcast out there. He does 2 new episodes a week and he has over 450 past episodes. So here's college for your kid. Rent them a house on the beach in Cape Hatteras, okay? Or wherever you are, okay? With a couple of friends. Every day, they have to listen to, every week, 2 new episodes and 3 old episodes. 1 a day, 2-hour episodes. Here's the beauty. They can listen to it while in bed. They can listen to it while kite surfing. They can listen to it while laying on the beach. They can listen to it while riding a bike, hiking, or working in their garden, okay? And then all they have to do is discuss it, right? And then they have the weekends off. At the end of 1 year, I am hiring that person before any college graduate, okay? And that'll cost you $8 a month. He does not offer financing, okay? He does not offer Crow college financing because it's $8 a month, all right? And after your kid graduates college, I suggest that you probably send Crow $100,000 or whatever, half of what college would cost. You should just send it to him, right? I'm kind of kidding on that part, but kidding, not kidding. But somebody educated like that with all of the knowledge, I've learned so much from that show. You can navigate this world. You're going to be a more successful person in this realm, in this physical simulation level plane.
See, I love how you say that because it connects with a thought I had today where our world is controlled by essentially NPCs. And I'm not going to have a child until I know that I can bring them into a world where it's not controlled by NPCs, where it's controlled by aware and awake individuals. So that's the importance of homeschooling, really, and forming a community of like-minded people. I mean, I don't want to homeschool my kids. I wish I could send them to a public school that wasn't controlled by this demonic frequency, but the public schools are all a mess. Like
Well, there's groups of people now that are homesteading and stuff, and that they're schooling their kids together. They're going to have different people are teaching them, and they're learning real world stuff. I mean, these homeschooled kids that are the smartest kids I've seen. It's amazing. I'm a fan of college for the experience of living away from home and socializing with people of your age and taking responsibility for yourself. Well, you can do that without college. Okay, you can do it 1,000 times better. Your kid's going to be happier. He's going to learn more, going to be more functional in the world. And you can do it for a fraction of what it costs. That's all by design. The college prices up through the roof, and women need to work because you need two incomes. They want it, so you have to send your kid to school because it's basically adult daycare. I mean, kid daycare for you. It's all done by design. And once you break free of that, there's no limits to this world. There's none. Everyone wants to think there is.
Yeah, I went to college and I got a major in linguistics from a university, and it did not get me a job at all. And I think the only benefit I can have from it is I can come on YouTube and be like, I have the academic authority to talk about social engineering since I have a major in linguistics. And that's just something like I made up myself on my own channel. Like no outside corporation gives a shit,
It used to be, back supposedly in our history, which is all fake, but, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, if you wanted to learn from the master of a certain topic, we didn't have the internet back then. So you had to go physically travel and go to the university where he is and sit in his lecture hall to hear it. But now you don't have to do that. Okay. You're going to learn more from this podcast than most courses will teach you in a year. Okay. I mean, and that's an insult to this podcast because we're only talking real things. We're only talking reality. Okay. So once you understand that this entire system is designed to turn you into a slave, once you can break free from that, once you no longer even fathom the question, why would they lie? Because that's my favorite question. But if you don't understand why they would lie, you got a long way to go. This is about control. I mean, the Rockefellers, they took over there was all sorts of, naturopathic doctors out there and curing with herbs and old ancient remedies and stuff. And then Rockefeller came in and came up with medicine made from oil, right? And then he went to universities and he gave them massive grants as long as they only taught his medicine. Right. And then they went to Congress and they bought off Congress and said, make laws saying that if any doctor teaches, that this tincture, this oil that can and will cure you, they lose their license and they get put in jail. Right. And Congress passed that law. Right. So he literally took over the world. Now, did he do it to keep us all sick and weak? I think so. But it's insanity what's going on, and people are like they're blind to it. They're blind.
And people who say things like, "Well, why would they lie to us?" Those people don't understand how powerful they are. Not only that, but Twitter files recently showed that Twitter was suppressing real doctors who were speaking out against the pandemic. And all these people, these normies, were like, "Well, what do you mean? Like all the scientists agree?" And I'm like, "They don't agree. They're just censored. Who don't?"
The FBI doesn't generate money. They get paid money from our tax dollars, and the FBI paid Twitter to censor us. So we paid to have ourselves censored on Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how bad it's gotten.
But here's the thing. You get to a normie, you tell them that, they just short circuit. They're like, that can't be. FBI is good, right? That can't be. FBI, they got 3 letters.
Oh, yeah. I brought it up to my mom in Christmas, and she did short circuit. She said nothing. She was dead silent. She always has a response, except for that.
Right. I mean, I walked out of Avatar yesterday. I looked at the page and I go, I hate movies. I just walked out. I hate movies. I like that chair was awesome. I mean, great chair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I was forced, not forced, but I watched like Wednesday on Netflix with my family on Christmas, and I was just pointing out all the social engineering in it. I couldn't help it, and I think they just find it funny at this point. Uh,
yeah. Well, here's the thing. Everybody has their own journey. I try not to get upset at people that don't. And my brother and sister, we don't talk because they're not ready to even look at, 9/11. Okay. They're not ready to believe that our skies are being geoengineered. They're not ready for any of that. So we don't talk about it. Therefore, I got nothing to say. And unfortunately, we don't talk, but that's their journey. And eventually, when this rolls out and the whole world wakes up, they're gonna be like, well, I think my brother is talking about this stuff, and maybe we'll talk again.
Yeah, that connects with another thing I saw today. And let me know if you think this is true. Like the people now who are kind of having this awakening, we are crazy compared to the average person. We seem crazy, but in the future, more and more people will awaken, and those people who initially had it are going to be the new leaders of a new kind of earth. Do you think that could be true?
That the people that are passing the intelligence test are going to be the new leaders.
Yeah.
I like that story.
Yeah, it's a nice little fable. Sure.
It's a nice story. It might not be a fable. It could be, listen, if this is, if this entire place is a training ground and evil and good are, what's the word that where you used it before?
Clashing or
no, they go together. They work together. They work
symbiotically.
Oh, symbiotic. We'll use that word. I was trying to use the other big word you had. And it's all to give us this experience. I tell people, when you see something you hate, you can give yourself cancer by getting upset about it, or you can look at that and go, oh, I hate that. I'm going to go over here, right? Because they're showing you where you want to put your attention, right? Energy flows where attention goes. Okay. Mm-hmm. So all the negative shit you have in your life is because you're bringing it in, right? I used to have such a hard time with that. I'm like, I want $1 million. But what I was saying is in my head, I don't have $1 million and I'll never have it. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
You got to say, I am $1 million. I already am.
Listen, here's the funny thing. I don't do any of this for money. Money is the bottom motivation for me, but we need money to survive. So I always say, listen, they control us in a few big ways. Okay. But two of them are they've put you in a prison, the globe. That's a prison for your mind. Your mind is your world. Your mind creates your reality. Okay. They put you in a prison and they're making you use their fake money. And it's fake. It's the worst kind of fake money because they can dilute it and dilute it and dilute it and dilute it. And people freak out about cryptocurrency. Oh, FTX. FTX wasn't crypto. That was nonsense. Crypto is you have a wallet that doesn't have your name on it, but you're the only one that has access to that wallet. I have a wallet that doesn't have my name on it, but I'm the only one that has access to that wallet. I can send you money and then you get it and nobody knows about it, period. Okay. And crypto is a gift to the world. People are like, well, as soon as money goes digital, we're all going to be slaves. Absolutely true. If we go to the US currency digital dollar controlled by the Federal Reserve, those banksters in Puerto Rico. Okay. But real crypto, like if we got off of their money, if everyone woke up and said, okay, everyone's going to get a wallet. We're all going to start using Monero tomorrow. Okay. Governments are finished. They're done. We don't even know who they are. Okay. And then we wake up and we're like, okay, hey, let's put our minds together. Let's build airships again. Let's take over the helium from NASA and let's build airships and go to the outer lands, right? Let's really figure out what's going on in this world. Oh my God, the ingenuity, the people that would come together. I mean, you had the guy that built the water car. It was on ABC News, right? I think it was in the 70s. And then he met with some investors, took a sip of his juice, and he ran outside holding his throat going, they poisoned me, and he's dead.
Honestly, dude, my number one goal is to be able to have private airships. And it kills me that NASA has literally bought up all the biggest companies that create helium to the point where a private company cannot make airships for people because of NASA. So that reason alone, everyone should be a flat earther so we can have airships.
Right. NASA puts up, tens of thousands of satellites on balloons. Nobody wants to believe it. Yeah. But now, you know what? They listen to our shows. By the way, they listen to our shows and they react. They change things. Now NASA's backing up going, it might be easier just to put these satellites up on balloons, right? What? You used to do that. And then you pretended that they're in space, and now they're talking about balloons again. because they have to walk it back. When we expose them, they have to walk it back. They constantly move the globe host.
Oh, dude, do you want to know a funny story? So I own a tree removal company. I meet with clients all the time. I live in Cleveland, which is right next to a NASA base. And one of my clients, he works at NASA. And
Oh, wow.
I asked him, like, so is it really like compartmentalized there? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I have no idea what the other departments are doing. And I'm like, do you
Perfect.
like your job there? And he's like, I honestly really don't like my job. And I tried so hard to get into NASA, but it's just not a good environment. And it's like, yeah, because they're probably lying, because they're lying to you all the time.
They're lying to everybody. It's a jobs program. They want us to all have jobs. There are so many jobs that people don't do anything useful. It's just to keep you busy in the money system because they're harvesting our energy. This literally is the matrix. The globe is the matrix, and they're harvesting our spiritual energy.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, oh, I don't believe in that. And I believe we live in a globe. I'm like, good, enjoy your friggin' life. I mean, you're so lost. You're contributing to the system. Just like that scene. Go watch the just Google on YouTube. Morpheus red pill, red dress scene where walking down the road. He's talking to Neo. And and he goes, everybody, that's still plugged in the matrix could be an agent. You don't know, right? Because they're NPCs. But they're fighting for their own imprisonment and they don't know it. Because as I always say, you want to make it simple, nobody likes having their ball taken away.
Yes, and it's like Matt from Quantum of Conscious. He said it's taking the download. Like when you start, like, you have your brother you love and know your whole life. The second you bring up flat Earth, they switch and they turn into a monster. And it's like, whoa, they just got the download.
Hey, I've lost some lifelong. Let's say I've misplaced some lifelong friends and some family members, right? But I'd rather have truth. I'd rather be happy with myself. I've made a whole new family of friends, tons, right? On the app, have you used the friend finder at all?
No, not yet.
People say, oh, I'm so alone. I don't know what to do. So here is, these are just the people around me. Let it load for a second. And it's going to show you the other flat earthers in my area that have the app.
Dude, I couldn't believe how many people were around me. Yeah, I opened it up in Ohio.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? They're all near me.
Yeah. And so the thing is, you can tap on a dot, look at their profile and go, hey, that person seems pretty cool. Hey, Joe, Sally, let's meet for a coffee.
David, I'm not going to lie. When I actually did look up Friend Finder, I didn't think I would see barely anyone on it. I'm not going to lie. No disrespect to your app. But when I opened it and I saw this, I was like, oh my God, this is huge.
Look at the East Coast. Look at this. I mean, this is insane. Where's Ohio? I can't even see it. It's over here somewhere.
Exactly. It's wild.
Yeah. And this isn't everybody. I'd say for every blue dot, there's probably 100 or more non-blue dots, people that aren't even there yet.
Yeah. So see, I opened up Friend Finder, but I didn't pay for the thing where you can message people. That was it.
By the way, it's $11 a year.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah. I didn't realize it was that cheap, honestly.
So people are hanging out in a bar and they're like, I'm not subscribing to your app. Who wants a round of shots? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you buy a round of shots, right? It's $11 a year, but I have a referral. I have a referral thing where if you get 11 people to download the app and use your referral code, you can the subscription's free for a year, right? So you can trade in your referral points. If I click this dot right here, that shows you I have 13 referrals and I could trade them in for a year subscription if I want. But the other thing is this circle right here, I have it set for 50 kilometers. There's 493 people. I can send a message like, hey, I'm going to be hanging out at so-and-so park or at Joe's Bar and Grill Saturday, 4 p.m. Come on down, bring your friends. And my fear is that, more than half of them will show up because everybody wants to get together. So it's a great way to meet up. Here's the thing. Every person, each one of these dots is a person. Every person on here is a like-minded person. They know that we don't live on a globe. They would love to talk to you about simulation theory. 99.9% of them, unless something crazy happened, don't have the Pokemon. Okay. Right. They're never bored. Right. They know about alternative stuff.
This app is breaking the matrix. I swear there's some sort of coding mechanism here where like-minded individuals don't meet each other often. They're never in the same family. There's always a black sheep of the family.
That's what this is breaking. All right. So I encourage people, find people near you, because one mind can do amazing things. Two minds together can do 100 times that, right?
Yeah. So
the whole group of people together, the Maharaji effect, forget it.
Maharaji effect, when a bunch of people meditate together. So one thing I want to say too is Jason Brashears, he talks about errants. Errants are like the awakened people who are different from the NPCs. Errants have three major qualities. They have a lot of empathy, intuition, and imagination. And someone in the comment section here said where thought goes, energy flows. The thing is, there doesn't need to be a lot of awakened people in order to change this world, because our imagination level is so much higher than people who are quote unquote NPCs. That's one thing that like quote unquote conspiracy theory people have in common. We were artists as a kid. We have insane amounts of imagination.
Our minds, but imagination is what they need. I don't think that the elite have imaginations. That's why they can never come up with anything new, and they need us to imagine the world for them. So they program us to think our thoughts in this world. Jason, that guy is well researched as far as knowing historical information. True or false. Amazing. His stuff is fascinating. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to. Can you hear me right? I just got
you glitched out really bad.
Yeah. Am I back?
Now you're back. Now you're back. Yeah.
Yeah. His stuff it's all interesting. There's just so much interesting stuff out there. You got to pick and choose what you have time to really focus on.
Yeah, I made a synopsis of his work on my channel recently, and Jason loved it. He posted it on his community board, so that's gotten a lot of views. And it's a lot of people believe like, wow, that just completely broke down our reality right there in 6 minutes.
Do you think he's got everything right?
That's the thing with like the simulation theory is I'll believe one thing one day, then 2 months later, it'll slowly like change. I'll tweak it a bit. So I can never be dogmatic with anything in this field,
Yeah. So I try to stay away from, like I talk about the outer lands, but I always say, I don't know if any of it's true. I want the right to go out there. Okay. I try not to say, hey, this cycle is what's happening unless I've lived that cycle. If I could say, you know what, eclipses repeat every 18 years. Well, guess what? I've lived long enough. I could say, yeah, that's actually true. They do.
What you got to do is listen to a bunch of different people who are well educated on the subject. Like listen to David Weiss, then Eric Dubay, hell, even Owen Benjamin. I know he doesn't research things that much, but he is so articulate when he wants to make a point. And just like simulation theorists like Tom Campbell, look up My Big Toe, then look up Howdy Mikowski and the Reincarnation Soul Trap, then look up Jason Brashears and combine all their simulation theories together and see what works for you.
Right. This world, there's no, this is an intelligent construct. Isn't that the kind of a definition of a simulation?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But you and I are here within that, we can punch each other. I could put you in a headlock and throw you to the ground. It's physical. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like that fear of death is what can allow us to spiritually grow, because we come from being immortal. Like, what are you going to be afraid of when you're immortal? Like nothing. So that's necessary to go into the material. And that's why I'm writing actually my book right now on my own version of simulation theory titled A Step-by-Step Guide How to Hijack the Simulacrum, where, I'll be talking about my ideas too. And one thing I want to say there is like, I believe that we live in a vulnerable, finite copy of God called Gaia, called like Maya. It's the same idea of Jesus being like the material version of God. Our Earth is the material, human, basically, version of a real God. It's a copy. That's what I feel.
Projection.
What?
It's a projection of the real. I think that the sun and the moon and the luminaries that we see are projections of the real sun, right? Crow calls it the source sun, right? The source sun. And you've seen my video where during the eclipse we could see it. We could see the source sun.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
I have. I think so. Yeah.
And on the frequently asked questions page, go to eclipses. It's like 4, 5, 6 down. And it shows how I think we're seeing it. I recreated it, and it looks exactly like what we see. Okay, come up with something better.
Yeah, I love the one video you did too, where you showed a train light far away, and you're like, Chad, is this a sun or a moon? And he's like, maybe the moon. He's like, wrong, it's a train, because I gave you a binary thought process.
Yeah, I felt so bad when I do that to somebody because I don't mean to make them feel stupid, but we all get it wrong. It's because
yeah.
But he asked me about I was showing him how like, well, what do astronomers, independent astronomers do? I go, they're brainwashed into thinking that light is billions and trillions of miles away. So they're using that as, it's like the sun is 93 million miles away because Venus is the same size as Earth. Mm-hmm. Well, where did you get that from? Yeah. Okay. The distance measurements we have, we can see ships so far away that even if we rounded down, the Earth would have to have a radius of 380,000 miles when they tell us the radius is just under 4,000 miles. Okay, that's 100 times bigger. So if the Earth was a globe, it would have to be 100 times bigger. Okay, let's pretend the Earth is a globe. It's 100 times bigger. They're hiding more land. Let's start there. Okay, there's more tuna. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's look at some of the chats here. Let's see. Excellent show. Many thanks. Friend Finder's the name. Yes, you got to download the FE app. What is it called?
Hold on. There's a knockoff version on Google Play, so watch out for that. Made by Globers who have to lie, right? So they copy the name of my app. They tried to keep up with me. The app is horrible. If you happen to buy it, make sure you leave them a proper review. And so they're lying. They have to lie. Flat earthers don't have to lie. We just tell you what we see and the truth. You can find it at flatearthdave.com. The app name is the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Long name, flatearthdave.com. The link's right there. Click it. Then you click your platform, Google Play or Apple, and it's $3. Just full disclosure, $3 one-time cost. The $11 a year, I would appreciate it if you subscribe. But if you don't want to subscribe, you don't want to contact other people, you don't want a couple other features related to that, and you don't want the awesome weather app, right? The weather app is awesome. You just click the weather up there, and it gives you like your best ad-free weather app ever. You don't have to get it, but it's $11 a year or 11 referral points.
Yeah. Other people on the chat, they were talking about the Falkland War circa 40 years ago. People know about it. Why would they war over some stupid island? Makes no sense.
Absolutely.
Some person saying, I have a retired commercial airline pilot friend who says Earth is flat. All flight routes based on flat Earth map. Yeah, I've heard a bunch of YouTube videos of pilots saying that same thing.
Right, but they can't talk about it publicly or they lose their jobs. Right. They lose their jobs. Right.
It's honestly amazing we hear any of them talk about it because they will get fired for it.
World Cup proves the Earth is flat. World Cup was here. They went to Rome and then they went to Buenos Aires on the way home. Chartered airplane, just soccer players. They didn't need to pick up more passengers. They didn't need to visit the Pope. Okay, looking at a flat Earth. Boom, Rome, Buenos Aires. Okay, there's so many crazy routes, right? And we're not allowed to fly over Antarctica because we'll hurt the penguins, right? Right. So going from Auckland to Cape Town, South Africa, well, you go right over here. Oh, you don't worry about the penguins. How about just go like this? Just go 1,000 miles, 100 miles off the shore. Ready? Just fly over here. Right? There's plenty of islands out here. Easter Island, I think, is out here. Just go. Right? But instead, they go all the way up to the north, Dubai, and across and down. Okay? That's insane. This makes sense. This doesn't make any sense. They go all the way up and then all the way back down on a globe.
Yeah, and you have so many examples of this, and so does Eric Dubé, and he links to like the sources and stuff. But then I see globe people do the same thing, and they'll show their maps. Well, on our flight map, it makes sense on a round Earth, and then they do that version.
They say they love saying great circle route. But what gets them, what they can't do is emergency landings. So this is what they show you on the little plane. They show this is where you're going. You're going from Hawaii to New York. There was an emergency here. They landed in Seattle, which is like 1,000 miles out of the way. They got there in like 15 minutes. That's a problem. Okay. And then we look at it on a flat Earth map. Why is Seattle directly on a straight line between those 2 points? Okay. Why is it a straight line between those 2 points? Right. There's another one here. We go to Moscow. The emergency, they went to Moscow.
Mhm.
Moscow's right on the line. Okay. It's crazy to think that these are just coincidences. I showed the one the other day with the mom that died. That was a crazy one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can talk to pilots and they'll admit, they're like, honestly, I don't know where we're flying over right now. It's all clouds down there. We speculate where we are right now, but we don't really know. Like
Right.
ask the stewardess. They'll be like, we don't know where we are right now. I'm sorry.
Emergency happened right here. They were going to Auckland, New Zealand. They landed in Fiji.
Yeah.
Why didn't they go here? When you look at it on a flat Earth map, right? Auckland is right there. Fiji's right on line. Is that just another coincidence? It's right there. Look, bam. New York, bam.
Yeah, because these Globers, they can talk all day long, like, oh, this flight path took this way. But it's like, yeah, but you don't know that. At least with the emergency landings, that's empirical evidence, you know?
Absolutely. And there, we say that there's a what's the word? I'm losing my words. A huge amount. What's the word I'm looking for? A preponderance of evidence. A
Yeah.
preponderance of evidence, right? And the Globers. What was I going to say? I had a good point. Their thing is, the flight from Santiago to Sydney doesn't make any sense, right? Well, it absolutely does. I'm trying to pull up the Gleason's map. So from Santiago to Sydney, they say, I forget the flight. I think it's from like the UK to California or something, which is considerably shorter. They say that this flight takes about the same amount of time as this flight. It doesn't make sense. Well, that's true. However, what if this flight was flying twice as fast as this flight? Well, airlines are in it for the money and they're going to go the least expensive route. Please, NASA controls all of the flight routes. Okay. Yeah. So going from here to here, which is here to here, which is half the distance, let's just say from here to there. If this plane was going 1,000 miles an hour and this one was going 500 miles an hour, they'd both get there in the same amount of time. Well, you can't go 1,000 miles an hour because it's faster than the speed of sound. It's the sound barrier. There's no sound barrier. There's the speed of sound. And when you go through it, you hear a sonic boom, but nobody in the airplane hears it.
Right.
Nobody hears it. You know what a sonic boom is, right?
Why a loud noise?
Well, so what happened? Think about this. Yeah, the plane's making noise and that sound is not moving. The sound's going out in rings in all directions. And as the plane's going forward, those front rings get compressed, right? Just like what they showed us with the train. And when it gets to the same speed as the sound trying to go forward is just piling up on each other. So those waves are piling and piling and piling. And I think if you actually stay at the exact speed of sound, it's a problem because the boom could get so big. Okay, I think. But so once you go through that, there's just a little, but it's behind you. You don't hear it because it can't even catch up to the plane. So people thinking that planes can't fly faster than they did in the 1960s are retarded. Okay. I can say that word, by the way. I'm bringing it back.
Dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it back. All right. It's not it's just your brain has been slowed down and that's retarding a brain. Okay. You're allowed to say that. Yeah. And the flight that goes from Australia on Qantas flight to Santiago, there's only I think there's like 4 pilots that are allowed to fly it. They're military guys. They're probably Freemasons, don't know. And the plane has 7 layers of heat resistant paint on it. Doesn't that tell you something? Maybe it's going a little faster than they're telling us.
Yeah. And according to their story, like their NASA rocket ships that we see slowly take off, they're like, 100 times faster than a bullet or something insane?
I wish somebody told me I wasn't pointing at my map. The whole time I was pointing at my map, going from here to here was half the distance of here to here. So now I've caught up. All right. Sometimes I forget to do that. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that's everything I want to go over. I know there's more, so maybe we can do this again some other time, but I know I've kept you long enough. We're past the hour. This was an awesome talk. I'm glad that we were able to mix in like our flat earth and simulation theory together. I think we did that pretty well. So yeah, just thanks again.
I think they go together. I don't think any of it works without some of the other.
Right. And again, this is just like, this is what I'm going to be doing going forward, just like in the war room. I'm basically creating a war room against the Matrix and a spiritual revolution. And in order to get more normies off of the main frequency, I think you got a Trojan horse flat earth inside of simulation theory and then take it from there. That's personally what I'm going to be doing. You can do your own thing. But I think it's a good tactic.
And I want to do one sales pitch. It's not even for me. It's for Jaron. He's got these knit hoodies, which are fake X, nice. Right? Instead of SpaceX. And then the back of this is NASA going nowhere since 1958. Whoop, going down. And if you just go to the shopping cart button right here, up comes all the stuff. And if you click the first one, let it load for a second. Come on. Load. Why isn't it loading? It'll take you right to when it finally loads. I have a little, oh, there we go. It'll take you where you can buy these. They're awesome. Ships them out the same day that you order, usually. And they're fun. They're fun hats. So if you need like an icebreaker, a T-shirt or a hat or something is a great way to wake people up.
Yeah, if you're single, that's the best way to attract someone on your vibration. Wear a hat like that, and she sees it and says something.
Right, and also my T-shirt shop is in there. I have some fun T-shirts like this one, very subtle. This is my subtle one, flat earther. But if you really want to make friends, just put on a fish T-shirt. Jesus Christ, what's up? Put on a fish T-shirt. People come up and start hugging you. Oh my God, fish! Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, my friend down the street loves fish, goes to every show. Yep, you're right.
Wait, my son lives in Salt Lake City. He's here with me in Connecticut. You know why? Because Fish is playing at the Garden for 4 nights in a row.
Dude, I don't know what it is. Like, he started talking about Fish, and I'm like, I didn't even know this was a big band. Okay, I guess like they're cool.
They're a fun jam band, but it's a cult like the Globe.
Yeah. Right, it sounds like it. Yeah, but yeah, Dave, where else can people find you? I know your YouTube channel.
My YouTube, I have a bunch of YouTubes. I have my DITRH one, which is this channel right here. Lots of short videos. I encourage you to go there. My Flat Earth interviews 1 and 2, I go back and forth because I get strikes sometimes because I accidentally talk about the jibby jab. And on my TikTok, but it's all linked at flatearthdave.com, right? If you don't want to get the app, you don't want to do anything, just go to flatearthdave.com and take the crash course, which is a series of videos. Turn off Netflix for a week and watch those videos. Guarantee you can't get through 5 of them without becoming ostracized by your family and friends.
Yes. Dave, one last little question. I notice you're about to hit 100,000 subscribers on your main channel. And I know that YouTube sends a plaque or a trophy, but YouTube does not like your content. Do you think they're going to send you a plaque for talking?
Yes, they will. And I have so many ideas on like what I'm going to do. I thought one of them where I get really drunk, like I feel myself like getting really drunk, whether I'm getting really drunk or not, I won't ever say. And then I turn around and I pee on it, and then I light it on fire, and it burns into flames, right?
Do it. Yes, that's awesome.
But the thing is, I've been close for a while, and I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll have 200 less subs than I had today.
Oh, what? It'll do that?
They keep throttling you right back down.
That's so weird.
I was at like 96 one day, and now I think I'm at 94. I don't even look.
Yeah. I thought I saw 94 as well. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, they can't do it. I mean, I think that AI, right? The good in the simulation, I think they watch when people are like paying attention. They like, all right, we can't do this.
Yeah. And something about this live stream too, not only did it not work when I've used the same system for 4 other interviews, but I noticed someone wrote, Mr. Boomerang wrote, I'm incredibly excited for this interview. And then I went back and checked and his comment was deleted. And I'm like, did YouTube delete a comment of someone excited for our interview today?
Interesting.
It's weird.
Interesting. You got to change the thumbnail because you went new and you don't have.
Yeah, Mr. Boomerang, let me know in the comments if you deleted that yourself or if YouTube deleted that. It's cool if you deleted it yourself. Just let me know.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right, cool. Thanks for having me. And again, for those of you out there that are like, I don't know if I'm a flat earther anymore because I believe in simulation theory. They work together perfectly. Perfectly.
Yeah, that's why I said in the description, we are forming an alliance between flat earth and simulation theory now.
That's like forming an alliance. I'm trying to think of an analogy. I won't be able to come up with one. It's like forming an alliance between an orange and an orange peel. No, they're together.
Yeah. Yeah. What's important is to get off the dungeon programming. That's what's important, people.
I haven't heard that term, dungeon programming. I call it the heliocentric matrix. Unplug yourself on the matrix. And here's the other thing. On the app, if you go into the friend finder and you click the referral button, This is where you get your referral code. You'll have a random number here. There'll be a little pencil right there. And did I transition over? I did.
Yes,
okay. There'll be a little pencil there, and you could customize it up to 7 digits. So make your custom number, give it to people, gain your points, and then you can use those points to subscribe. But I say hold on to your points, because when you go to the pearly gates and God's looking at your sin list, well, these are anti-sin points because you've unplugged somebody from the matrix. If you get someone to download the app, they unplug from the matrix, they now see the creator, and they understand, that they're a true divine being. I think you get points for that. I think you could trade them in for sins. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, it's hard to not unplug after watching the videos that are on this app. Like he has the best ones that are normally so hard to search for because the YouTube algorithm hides it, but he's got them all laid out. Like, it's amazing.
You can't find any of them. It's amazing. But the frequently asked questions is a great page. But if you go to the web page, there's tons of stuff there. My interviews, your interview is actually all the way up there. If I click that button, we'll look, and
whoa,
there we are. We're live right there. Bam. So all my interviews are in this list. So if you're looking for my interviews, you'll be busy for quite some time because there's no bottom to this list, right?
Wow.
So there's all sorts of stuff, but great TikTok channels. This is Caleb and Derek. These guys are amazing. If you have short attention span, start there.
Yeah, okay. He's on TikTok. It's amazing. He just discovered flat Earth and immediately started making TikToks on it. I'm like, wow.
Caleb,
he's so fast.
The guy is so smart. He was on Crow. Did you watch him on Crow? Listen to him.
I didn't. He's
on Crow like 1 or 2 episodes ago. Fantastic interview. Fantastic. Mud floods, right? Debunking the debunkers, like the Nat Geo stuff, the Professor Dave stuff, all the stuff that you're like, well, what about this video? Go here. Find the video that relates to the video.
Professor Dave creates more flat earthers than anyone because he's so smug that no one wants to be on his team.
So I hit Debunking the Debunkers, scroll down, and go to this stream right here. Flat Earth Dave humiliates Professor Dave. Okay. And it's a guy called Mindshock. This guy is amazing. He breaks down things. He's neutral. I'm not saying the earth is globe. I'm not saying anything. I'm just analyzing your debating skills on logical fallacies and ad homs. And he destroys Professor Dave. It's phenomenal. But again, people are like, well, Nat Geo proved it. We showed you how Nat Geo faked it right here, right? All sorts of stuff. Where are the whistleblowing pilots? Here's one. Okay, all sorts of information that will literally, this playlist alone will wake you up. Any one of these will wake anybody up. So there's tons and tons and tons of stuff on there. Homeschooling information, books, right? Another book I recommend real quick. This is a new book that just came on here by Marty Leeds, right? But the book I recommend, besides these kids books, you got kids, you want to teach them? Flat Earth Man, amazing. But here's the 16 emergency landings. But this one, The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall. That's about the multiple ponds map. Amazing story. Don't know if any of it's true, but it's a phenomenal story. And it ties Star Wars into the real Earth. It brings everything down here. All of the other planets are all of the other ponds. All of the Galactic Federation is the Federation here on Earth. There's hostile lands, not hostile lands. And they talk about human beings having the source, the power of source. Well, that sounds like the Force, right? Yeah. It's the same thing because they can't make up anything new in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
So amazing stuff. There's just endless information. So
source, I like source. That's awesome. Yeah. Sorry. No, I just don't know what's going to happen when I have kids and I'm going to tell my parents like, hey, I'm going to raise them to not believe in globe Earth and believe in a simulation. Like that's going to be
teach them both. Teach them both. Right. Think about this. This is childhood. Talk about child abuse. A kid is discovering the world, learning, how to walk up and down stairs and navigate this world, and goes fishing in a pond and everything. And then he goes to school and like, oh yeah, the earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour and you're on the outside and you're in a vacuum. And, and everything that his common sense, his God-given common sense is telling him is being denied by somebody he thinks is a God, a teacher. Okay. Right. And so you're literally destroying the kid's ability to discern. And then the parents come back and go, oh, Santa Claus is going to bring presents and hide them under a Christmas tree. He's going to climb down the chimney and the Easter Bunny is going to come and give you hide eggs in the yard. Okay. So innocent little lies, fun little stories, but you're lying to your kids. You're teaching them to distrust their common senses. That puts them off kilter. And then, then you send them to school and they learn about nonsense. The first worksheet they bring home is, the moon goes around the earth goes around the sun, and this is how we have seasons. And
I'm torn about that. I don't know whether to tell my kids about Santa or not,
let me give you just a slight suggestion. Tell them the fucking truth.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'm leaning towards that. And I told my dad that. He's like, that's terrible.
But tell them the spirit of Christmas. Tell them the Christmas spirit, and maybe they'll be a little nicer to you because you get to put them on the naughty list. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good point. It's not some omnipotent
It's not some omnipotent guy that's like, he's not going to see me fooling around the table, right. Not eating my dinner. Like, right.
I'm the one who puts you on the naughty list. Nobody else.
Yes, absolutely. And they'll respect you for that. And then just, and then tell them to go into school and scream the earth is flat and Santa Claus is fake.
Yeah. That's so true. I know so many kids don't respect their parents. It's like, because you lied to them for so long.
You lied to them and you sent them to indoctrination camp and you made them believe nonsense, and it puts them off kilter. Then they end up growing up. Their soul can't talk to their mind and they're depressed and they get on drugs. Yeah.
And they don't have any skills. They were never taught skills either. It's crazy. Right.
Have your kids start 3 and up. Listen to Crow. Okay. 3-year-old, sit down with them, nap time, put some Crow on,
Yep. I agree.
I'm kidding about 3, maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm about to check out that podcast. I've heard Owen Benjamin talk about him.
So. Oh, listen. Crow is.
Well, I've talked about his lunar wave. This lunar wave stuff is amazing. That's the only thing I've seen with his.
And his movie Shoot the Moon, you get that free if you become a member. Here's what I say: you're unsure, subscribe for 1 month, just 1 month, $8. What do you buy someone a beer? Okay, and listen. Binge every day. Listen to 2 episodes, 2 new and 3 old for a week. So at the end of the month, you have at least 20 episodes under your skin. Guaranteed, you will not cancel. Guaranteed. People are crazy. I'm not spending $8 on that, and then you just waste money. And you go to Starbucks and order a venti chai skim foam latte with 2 pumps of espresso or whatever.
Sounds
okay,
good.
That'll be $11. Right.
Yep.
So again, this world is amazing. I tell people, I recommended on the other show the other day. I said the wrong name. I'm the Impossible Dreamer. All one word. I'm the Impossible Dreamer on Instagram. Go listen to that guy. Watch 20 of his videos. Right. They're all short. They're all Instagram videos. Okay. I am the Impossible Dreamer. Okay.
All right, we got homework.
Yeah, no, that's good, but that's short stuff. That's real short and easy. I'm the Possible Dreamer. Subscribe to Crow. Check out my YouTube channel. Get my app if you want. And you'll be a more interesting person.
Yeah, it's so true. I recommend his app, people. It has my stamp of approval for the couple people who really take that seriously. It really does.
Thank you.
All right, David. Thank you again. And I'd love to talk to you again soon. This was awesome.
All right, man. Reach out. No problem. Thanks. Good talking.
Take care. Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Are you a blue dot? Those questioning where we live are not just here. They are everywhere. Of course, this info is hidden from you. But the app shows you that no matter where you go, you aren't alone. We are everywhere, and we are growing. Find your tribe today.